Now we're going to get to it. And when guys are this good, we often hear that phrase pop up, reclassify, and Boobie Feaster is the latest.
Boobie Feaster is a kid that we've talked plenty about. Plenty of schools have been knocking on the door since he's been making a splash at DeSoto. We had the privilege of getting to watch him the last 2 seasons. We definitely watched him even closer this past 2 seasons, and he definitely made a splash not only at the underarm camp this weekend, but last week when he decided to reclassify from the 2027 to the 2026 class. I am sure that there were plenty of programs that were grinning from ear to ear, Mark, when they heard that announcement of Boobie making the jump from the 2026 class to the 2026 class. And I've said it there. Every class has its standouts and it really shines, but there's just been something about this 2026 class that I've watched early on as far as the whiteout depth and talent that has really just been circulating, not just through the fall, but definitely as we get into deeper into camp season, we've really seen it. And even Boobie Feaster is a kid that I've been watching for a long time. Anytime he hits the ball, his speed, his size, his agility, he is as advertised and more. And it is no question that that fifth star that he earns is well deserved. But what I love about this kid, I had a lot of opportunity to see DeSoto early on in the season. Obviously, fall short in the Texas high school football playoff, but this definitely doesn't take from the talent he has. What I love about Feaster when you see him, he knows that he's a star, but he's one of those kids that is really humble on and off the field. And even more, what I love when you see a lot of times with kids like his talent, there's always this need when they hit the field is that they always have to be the ones making the plays. What I love about Boobie Feaster and what makes his talent even that much better and his leadership even that much better and what is one of those qualities that just makes him that much more desirable if I'm a coach or a coaching staff is that he loves to share the wealth. There was plenty of times this season when he was watching and cheering on his team from the sidelines, letting some of the younger guys within his class. So Rod Baker's a running back who's very much on the rise at DeSoto. There was a big time playmaker that shared the stage with Feaster. Miles Johnson Cook, another talented elite 5-star running back out of the 2027 class. That's been a yin to a yang as far as the offense in DeSoto for Boobie Feaster. So not only did Boobie every time he took the field make plays, but he was also good at helping his fellow offensive guys develop and sharing the wealth. And that's what you got to love about a talented kid like him. He's elite. There, and I say it a lot about the Texas talent, not taking away anything from the elite talent. If you were ever going to find a mecca of talent across the board, Mark, it's right here in the Lone Star State, no matter which position. They just are built different here in Texas, like they are in Florida, in Georgia, in other places. And I've always said it about the Texas talent. We've seen it in several cases, especially at the quarterback position, that often these guys like Boobie Feaster, who are at elite at such a young age. I mean, he's academically at 2027, but athletically he's about to step it up, and be a junior heading into the season. That this talent doesn't translate when they reach the next level. But I will tell you, if you were ever going to build a roster on young talent, I know that that's always a battle for programs. Do we go to the portal? Do we go build on young talent? But if I'm a coach, if I'm a program, just seeing the growth between the separation that Ethan Boobie Feaster continues to do, whether it is on his field with DeSoto, on the 7-on-7 circuit, and more importantly at these camps that we see him, there's just this immense growth that translates onto the field. I don't think there's ever not been a moment where you don't see this kid get better, and he already is elite. And he's one of those kids, if I were to put him to practice with a college program right now, he could hang and he's going to translate. Again, like I said, not only does he have an elite skill set, but I really believe watching him and observing him, which I often do, as much as I like to go to games to scout kids' talent, another big factor, much like we talked about the NFL, how's this kid's character? How's this kid's relationship with his coach, with his players? And again, I think that's just another remarkable quality that I've observed looking from afar is just how he is around his teammates and how he's willing, despite often most people lining up to go see Feaster, scouts are there to see him. But because of that notoriety that a kid like him with his talent has brought, it has also opened the doors for scouts like us to also see some unsung talent like Sarad Baker and other kids on this field. So again, another big weekend at the regional camp in Dallas by Ethan Boobie Feaster. But again, plenty of programs are on the move with him, looking to knock on the door. The two programs that we know as of now, Mark, that are getting those official visits. Remember, those are the ones that really do count. Those are the all outs, the wine, the dime. Those are the programs that you're really looking that really do have a chance. We're hearing, of course, that USC on June 6th and LSU on June 20th. He's also wanting to look at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is looking to get an official, but he hasn't set the date. Now, we feel like in this, obviously the Texas schools are big into play, but we feel like LSU really does have a strong push, because even though Feaster is at DeSoto in the DFW Metroplex area, he is a Louisiana native. So LSU is one of those schools that has really been making a push from the jump to try to get him to come back home. And we know that LSU is doing an extremely good job at really getting Feaster to be seen in his program, really opening the door. So definitely those are some schools to watch. He's looking for a place that we've heard, from talking to sources and him and watching him over different interviews and stuff, and talking directly with him, a place where he can look for consistency and stability. We see a lot of coaches on the move and how that affects. Boobie Feaster wants to go to a program where he knows he's going to find consistency, continuity, and stability. So that's a big decision and a big factor in the schools that are going to receive his final visits. Obviously, SMU's been knocking at the door. Miami and Bama definitely are looking to hopefully bring on his explosiveness, earn an official billet. But again, like I said, he's just one of those players that brings speed, agility, his frame. He checks all the boxes day in and day out. And like I said, I would put that kid and take a bet and a gamble on him on a college football field, and he will step up and he will rise up to the challenge. And the thing about it, again, he's one of those elite kids that he remains humble. He works like he has no stars. Every time that I see him, no matter if it's in a small setting or it's a game situation, or whether he's doing his own coaching with receivers on his sideline, pumping them up and helping them grow, he's always stepping up and rising to the challenge. So again, he's invaluable on and off the field, and it'll be exciting to see who will make the late push to get those final oldies. But definitely the Texas schools are working hard, but we really like what LSU is doing to try to get him back to his native roots and be a Bayou Bengal.
Now let's stay on the defensive side, but go to linebacker. And I want to make sure that we get his name straight. DaQuives Beck?
DaQuives Beck.
Could have, who could be in the running there?
Well, this is a kid that has really caught my eye. He's been really under the radar, low profile. This is a kid that I think that really upped his stock this weekend on the camp circuit at Under Armour here in Dallas, out of Carthage, Texas. He's a top 247 linebacker. I think that his recruiting is just about to beef up, as like I said, once you get to see these guys in live reps, I really think it does make a difference. Obviously, we hear that Baylor's making a big push for them, obviously, with in-state talent. He'll be at Oklahoma. Some of the early visits that we're hearing that Beck is going to be taking right off the jump. He's wasting no time taking some unofficials as dead period finishes. He's set to go to Norman and visit the Sooners March 8th, Arizona State around mid-April. And again, Texas A&M, that's another name we're going to be hearing a lot when it comes to the 2026 and 2027 classes. They are doing a really fantastic job on the circuit this season, taking a risk and taking a chance on a lot of not only the high school talent, but specifically, like I said, Mark, in the state of Texas. This kid just catches my eye for so many reasons. Seeing him in person, seeing him on film. Of course, he helped lead Carthage to a 4A defensive D2 state championship last year, where he was named the defensive MVP as a junior. Just some of his stats coming off his junior season. He had 10 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack in the big win over 28-14 win over Waco La Vega. He helped, obviously, Carthage, like I said, clinch not only that state champion, but championship as a defensive MVP, but also hold that 15-1 record, where he saw his defense yield no more than 20 points in a game. But he just hasn't had a breakout season during his junior campaign. He's a guy that's really just been growing his stop and is really someone who's productive and create a lot of chaos. If you were ever one of those guys that was down to the wire, Beck is going to be that guy, I think, as he polishes his skills, as he gets more out there. I think he's only going to be he has really great progression at the linebacker position, but you know, he wasn't too shabby, Mark, on coming off his sophomore campaign where he had 102 tackles, 21 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 3 PBUs, 31 pressures, 16 QB hits, and 2 defensive touchdowns. So again, Beck is one of those guys I'm surprised that we haven't heard a lot more about. But again, sometimes in this cases, and I believe in Beck's film, it didn't do it justice. If you can see, like I said, from his sophomore to junior season, he is someone who is not afraid to go head to head and create a little chaos. And I think he's going to be in high demand. We talked about some of the guys who are going to get early visits as far as his services and on officials right off the bat. But some of the ones who are getting those official visits that we're hearing is SMU in early May, Oregon State on June 5th, Texas A&M June 13, and Baylor. Baylor's making a really strong push to get him down to Waco, keep him close by, definitely with his kind of numbers, his kind of producers. So they're looking on June 20th to maybe get him on campus and really kind of make that late push and possibly get a commitment out. But again, this is a kid that despite you know, all his rise and definitely will be getting a lot more calls. He's not unopen to making change. We're hearing some of the schools that are also making a late push for him that could very well help change the game as far as those official visits. Like I said, nothing's ever set in stone until you sign the dotted line, and that's definitely in the case. Oregon, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma are some schools that he's shared that he would be interested in going to see and also be in consideration for official visits. So while it looks like SMU, Oregon State, Texas A&M, and Baylor are the ones who have gotten those official verbal dates, nothing is set in stone. So watch out for them because Oregon, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma are not too far as the official visits are concerned for one of the rising stars. And kind of going back, Carthage, the program at Carthage High School is really well known for developing linebackers. And why I say we might have to watch out for Oklahoma again, it always goes back to relationships and recruiting. And Kip Lewis was a guy that the Sooners really knew very well. And really developed him, and he's out of Carthage now. While Beck shares he hasn't had a lot of conversations with him, there's already been that comparison, and so definitely the Oklahoma Sooners are really also making a strong push because they are used to developing strong quarterbacks, and they know what kind of talent comes out of Carthage High School here in Texas. So again, Beck is setting himself very well, nicely down the camp circuit, and we look forward to talking more with him.